for everything that is right. Phoenix? Where are you, honey?
Where are you, Phoenix?
Where's my Phoenix?
They're coming.
They're coming, okay. So, no, that's much better. Much better except for that. There we go. Can you guys hear me okay back there?
Come to the graveyard, you fucking
I can be a little bit louder. We like it loud, don't we? Phoenix, honey, come on up here. Zoe, come on up here. So what is this really about, guys? I'll tell you what it's about. It doesn't matter what our differences are. It doesn't matter who we pray to, what color our skin is, what we do for a living, or how we choose to live our lives. We have one shared obligation, and that is to provide our kids with a better world than the one we were given. That is an obligation of every single one of us. So I'm going to have Zoe start off, and I think it's appropriate to have the kids start off because it is about them. Come on in.
Sorry, today I just want to talk about some of my disabled friends because this lockdown has affected them quite a lot. One of my friends, he's around 80 years old, 75, and he can only move one arm. He's in a wheelchair, and with the second lockdown, it's really hard for him because if he goes into a small business or a restaurant for pickup or just to get a soup or anything, he cannot sit down. And when he brings it home, it's cold and he can't warm it up. This happened in Tim Hortons. In McDonald's, one of the ladies there, she actually let him sit down in a corner to eat his food. But this doesn't have to do with the corporations anymore. This has to do with a singular person that shows compassion for a person that can't go home with warm food because it's going to get cold, who can't warm it up at home. So yeah, I just want to talk for him because he's had this a few times and I get his frustration. Because you know what? Some of us, we love sometimes a chili from Tim Hortons or something, but we can take it home and warm it up. He can't do that. And yeah, a lot of employees, they do let him sit in a corner and eat it, but others don't. And you know what? They're not going to get fined for that. If they call the police on him, police officer isn't going to say, okay, get out. You know, he's not going to say that because some people actually do understand that these people can't do anything about their disability, and he struggles with this, struggles with it a lot. So with the mask now, when he goes into, let's just say this was before the second lockdown, wanted to go into a Harvey's back door because they have a ramp. This lady would not let him go through the door without a mask. His exemption is he cannot breathe properly, and he only can use one arm, which means it's very hard for him to cover his face, to put on one of those loop masks or another one. Yet, she would not let him pass the door. He had to go across the street to Shoppers Drug Mart to buy a mask just to get to his place where he wants to sit and eat. And you know what? That starts again. That's not about the corporation. That's about that one singular lady that didn't want to let him go inside because she felt superior. That lady did not show compassion. So I just want to remind you all, please show compassion to anyone that you know and even people that you don't know. Okay? Because this is very important right now. It's very important, especially for the vulnerable. Because everybody's going through a hard time right now. So yeah, thank you. I'll let Phoenix talk for now.
That's Zoe, everybody. She's been participating in these events since the first day. These girls are the most amazing part of this entire movement, and I am so proud of them.
I'm pretty fucking amazing.
Okay, we know this, Alan. We know this.
Yeah, you're a good girl too.
The next speaker, I know that she doesn't need no introduction, but I have to introduce her because I find that not enough people describe how amazing she actually is. So this one, who's she's like another daughter to me, Phoenix, cares so much about our communities, about our people, that she decided to begin her own project, which is the Phoenix Project, and we all know that. But she has been actively, since the beginning of the Phoenix Project, day after day, distributing everything necessary to feed our homeless, whether it's to keep them warm in this crazy Canadian winter, or whether it's just to give them shelter throughout the summertime. I mean, this is pretty fantastic and quite the obligation for such a young girl to take on, and she needs to be supported by everybody, everywhere, and her example is spreading right across this country. So everybody, please give it up for Phoenix.
Hi guys! I'm so proud of you guys for all being here today. I know we kind of struggled this morning a little bit to get out here. The energy to me sometimes feels a little bit low, and I think it's one of those days again, but it doesn't mean, okay. It doesn't mean that we can't fight. So I think I haven't elaborated enough on the perspective and how it feels to connect with the people. So in my opinion, I think what it takes is for you to take a step out of your mindset and to truly feel how other people might feel, and to become a bigger and better person and understand their perspective on things and just be there for them throughout everything. Yeah. So there's been a ton of people that I've met throughout the past months, and I've made so many connections with a lot of the homeless people because they are just people and you can make friends with them too. So I just recently got informed last night from my mom that everybody from Trinity Bellwoods has collected their donations, took what they needed, and gave it back to us so we can redistribute when we go back to Montreal next weekend. And they don't have anything, but they are helping the people that don't have anything. They're giving up everything that they have so that the people who are struggling the worst, because Montreal is really, really bad, they're giving what they have to those people who have nothing. And it's just so crazy to see, and I wish that even our community was a little bit more like this, because I just feel like we can do more. Like, say if all of you guys came to Nathan Phillips and helped us distribute and really have a one-on-one conversation with the people on the streets and understand their perspective, I think that it would change something. So everybody that's in Montreal, I want to talk to you about a guy. His name is Serge. He is a French-Canadian, and the first time that we were there, I had a conversation with him, and I was kind of struggling a little bit because my French is not very good, but he was just like telling me about what he did before he was on the streets and about his family and his dog that he used to have, and we were just sitting there when I was feeding, making bowls of chili and soup and handing it out. We were just having a conversation, and then the last time that we were there with Tommy, he ran up and he hugged me and he's like, "I'm so happy that you came back. You kept your word and you said that you came back and you did." And he's like, "I'm so happy to have a friend like you." And I was just like, he said that I was the first person to actually have a conversation with him and understand his perspective in a good few years. And I think that that's really important because they don't feel that anymore. People are scared of them. I was speaking to Rebecca last weekend when we were at Nathan Phillips Square, and I was telling her, like, people always say that homeless people are like drug addicts and stuff, and sure, that could be the case, but you don't talk to those people that are on the streets, but there could be drug addicts just like people that walk on the streets and you still respect them as a human being. No matter what the person who they are, where they come from, what their past is. They still have red blood, and they are still a human being just like you and me. And it is important that you respect them as a human being and know that they deserve love too. It's so important that you recognize that. I know that it took me a while because in a way it was very frightening to see people on the streets because, like I've said this a bunch of times, we are so privileged to live in a house with a bed and food on the table every day when there's people that are sleeping on the streets.
What does this look like?
A truck.
What does this look like? The Oval Office?
Dan.
Don't fucking touch me, man.
Hey,
No. Peace.
Calm down, calm down. Calm down.
No.
Leave him alone.
Let her go. It's okay.
Anyways, guys, there are people like that, and also, like I just said, they deserve love too. I think maybe that's why there's so many cranky people nowadays, and they'll come up to you and tell you what's what, but it's just because they really need a hug and they really need love because they're missing that. Before I end my speech, that I love you guys all so much. You guys are so amazing, and that this is truly the freedom fighters that we need and that we love because true colors are shining right now, and the people that are standing here today are the people that
Somebody! That's illegal!
Tear that shit off.
I love every single one of you guys, and I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Bye guys, love you.
Peace, everyone. Freedom! Now, unfortunately, Vlad couldn't be here today. So he couldn't be here today. He's in Vancouver. And he's still building chapters across the country. But I am the executive director for Hugs Over Masks, so I will say a few words. And I think the message that he wants to get across mostly is that we need more action. I think that the movement has become a little bit ideological. And it's supposed to serve all of us as individuals. And as individuals, we're all different. And it's okay. I mean, that's what are we supporting here? For us to take responsibility for our own lives, our own actions, and our bodies. Right? Is that not what we're fighting for here, guys? So that we can leave this world knowing that our kids are going to be fine, that they can make their own decisions, that they can have all the opportunities. I mean, people float here on logs across oceans because of the example that we provide them within just our daily lives. And that example is being threatened. So we have to come together as one people, one body, one nation, and stand up for everything that matters, which is our freedom. The next person I'd like to invite up here is one of the most intelligent people that I have had the opportunity, the honor to meet. His name is ER. Want to come up here, honey? So we are keeping the majority of our speeches between 2 to 3 minutes max. ER is going to take a few extra minutes because of the weight of his message. It has to do with our lawful rights to exist as individuals and with the actual crimes being committed by the people that we have elected and put into place. And he's got a serious message for the police to listen to. And even though there's not a bunch of them today, there's still a few out there. And all it takes is one. All it takes is one to have the nerve to stand beside the people that they swore oath to. Everybody put your hands together for ER, please.
Thank you. I am speaking to the police.
There's a couple.
My lawful excuse for being here is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code. Again, I am speaking to the police. My lawful excuse for being here is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code, which isn't being done by people in authority. Section 1.2 of the Police Services Act also is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code. So I'm just going to start out by talking about the Reopening Act. And it states that the Lieutenant Governor may by order extend orders. And it also states that the Lieutenant Governor may by order revoke orders. These are in section 3, bracket 2 and 5 of the Reopening Act. This is all about the Lieutenant Governor. It's not the Premier, it's the Lieutenant Governor. Although the Premier is party to an offence, which is section 21 Canadian Criminal Code, party to an offence. The actions of Elizabeth Dodswell, and I'm speaking to the police, the action of Elizabeth Dodswell, the Ontario Lieutenant Governor, and Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, have constituted a danger of major proportions that has resulted in serious harm to persons and substantial damage to property. This includes suicides, for which I know one person has committed suicide, reckless endangerment of children, breach of trust, beyond severe cruelty, loss of the right to the gaining of a livelihood, which is Section 6 Charter protected, rendering properties useless or ineffective or inoperative, which is mischief, 430 Criminal Code, loss of freedom, a massive debt increase that children born 1,000 years from now will have to deal with, and numerous other violations. Due to the actions of Elizabeth Dodswell, the Ontario Lieutenant Governor, and Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, we now have a created emergency. Under lawful excuse, and my lawful excuse for being here is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code. Under lawful excuse, do you agree that we declare the following? Declaration of citizen's arrest on Elizabeth Dodswell, Ontario Lieutenant Governor, and Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario.
Lock them up! Lock them up! Lock them up! Lock them up! Bring it up!
I'm speaking to the police. My lawful excuse for being here is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code. The declaration of emergency on March 17, 2020 stated, and whereas the criteria set out in section 7.0.1 bracket 3 of the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act have been satisfied. Let me just paraphrase 7.0.1 bracket 3. One of the following circumstances exists. The resources normally available cannot be relied upon without the risk of serious delay. Those resources may be insufficiently effective to address the emergency, and it is not possible without the risk of serious delay to ascertain whether those resources can be relied upon. The report on the 129-day declaration of emergency never discusses the criteria, nor the circumstances, nor the resources that cannot be relied upon in section 7.0.1 bracket 3 for making a declaration of emergency, nor was it ever divulged, sworn under oath to the population ever, still to this day. The population has never been told which resources, still to this day, and under oath. Since the details of the criteria, details of the resources, and details of the circumstances have never been disclosed to the population under oath, it is deemed a hoax. This is equivalent to saying, I saw a ghost, everyone stay indoors, don't work, etc., without ever stating under oath any details of the ghost, such as pictures, audio recordings, video recordings, sworn witness statements, sworn statements from the person stating they saw a ghost to verify that a ghost exists. This is deemed to be a Casper the Friendly Ghost, COVID-19 virus, a disorder in the mental capacity of the Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Dodswell, and the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, as well as all order followers, especially considering that over 30 institutions and offices around the world have been queried through Freedom of Information requests for records containing proof that the alleged SARS-CoV-2 virus in fact exists. The responses have yielded in total no records. Attention police, no records. No records. No records. Ontario public health officials have zero legitimate evidence to support their story of a COVID-19 virus, let alone a COVID-19 pandemic. The virus is unproven and purely theoretical. They have committed fraud on the population. Therefore, nothing has been demonstrably justified. Therefore, the Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and the Premier, Doug Ford, failed to obey a statute, a criminal code violation, Section 126, disobeying a statute of the Canadian Criminal Code. The Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford failed to disclose sworn records containing proof that the alleged SARS-CoV-2 virus in fact exists. The duty of the police is to detain and lawfully take into custody and question the Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford. So I accuse, and I'm speaking to the police, I accuse the Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Ontario, Doug Ford, of the following criminal violations. Criminal Code, Section 83.01, Bracket 1, Bracket B, domestic terrorism, and Criminal Code, Section 83.231, Bracket 1, hoax regarding terrorism. It is deemed to be a hoax without such sworn under oath demonstrably justified proof required by Section 1 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford did cause public intimidation with regards to its security, including economic security, causing persons to do or refrain from doing any act such as freedom of assembly, freedom of the right to the gaining of a livelihood, freedom to not breathe in one's own carbon dioxide, among many other things. The Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford recklessly endangered the lives of children, elderly, the vulnerable, and the healthy segment of the population. The Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford also did cause serious disruption and interference of essential services. Again, attention police. An example of a very significant essential service that was seriously disrupted and interfered with is the access to a justice of the peace by any member of the population. The GP office, or the Justice of the Peace office, has not been processing private prosecution applications from the population to this day since March 2020. The population does not have access to a JP. The Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Doddswell, and Premier Doug Ford did commit criminal code violations, Section 83.01, Bracket 1, Bracket B, domestic terrorism, and Section 83.231, Bracket 1 of the Canadian Criminal Code, hoax regarding terrorism. Now, in those laws, if there's a death, it's life in prison. I think at least one person has committed suicide.
Lock them up! Lock them up! Lock them up! Clean up! Lock them up! Clean up! Lock them up! Scumbags! Scumbags!
I can go on and on about the laws, and there's plenty of them. So, Elizabeth Doddswell, the Ontario Lieutenant Governor, and Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, I think I can safely say we place you under citizen's arrest.
Belong in jail, you criminals!
Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is equal benefit and equal protection of the law. Police, you can use Section 15 of the Charter to lawfully take into custody a superior officer who prevents you from safeguarding the fundamental rights and freedoms and the Human Rights Code. So police, you can use Section 15 of the Charter, equal benefit and equal protection of the law, to also take into custody, lawfully take into custody, the Lieutenant Governor and the Premier of Ontario. I've got pictures here nurses dancing, doctors dancing. And the top one here is of nurses dancing carrying a so-called dead body in a white body bag with COVID-19 written at its feet. Indignity to a dead body, a real dead body. Either way, this is a hoax. Police, detain, lawfully take into custody the Lieutenant Governor and Premier. Thank you.
Put your hands down for real, everybody. Lock them up! Lock them up! Lock them up! It is time for us to take action. This is our country. These are our streets. Those are our jobs. These are our kids. And we will not be silent, and we will not stand down, and we will grow and grow until we get exactly what we want and deserve, which is our freedom, which is the security of the freedom of our children and the freedom of our own lives. The next speaker is brand new, but I think most people here might know him. So I've recently started an organization, but it's not like the organizations you're used to. I'm not building chapters. My position since the beginning of all of this nonsense has been to throw my support behind every organization, to watch them successfully grow, expand, so that we can join all Canadians together to fight together as one people against this tyranny. So I began freedomforum.canada.com to do just that. So as of the new year, we will be beginning a broadcast semi-mainstream network for every individual and organization to utilize to get access to the information that's being oppressed from the mainstream and to get access to the organizations that might suit their own personal ideologies. My only ideology is to make sure we win this war. John Hurley, will you please come up here? John Hurley is one of the best contributors for Freedom Forum, and when we reach on, you gotta jump up. Or, yeah, he can come down here. So everybody put your hands together for John.
I'm a monster, and I'm kind of big, and usually those aren't made to hold weight as big as me, so I'm just going to stay down here. Anybody can see me anyways. Most of you guys know me. Some of you guys don't. My name is John. Big John. Most of you guys will know me as, but my name is John Hurley if you need to find us. I take a lot of pictures. I do a lot of media stuff, but I'm out here for my kids, for your kids. We need to start standing up against the injustices that are happening, and this is what we're all here for. So I'm not going to take up too much time. I just want to let everybody know who I am. If you guys want to talk, we're here. Let's keep this stuff going.
It's amazing. Guys, I'm a mother. I got a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old. Unfortunately, this was my year off for Christmas, which is a little disappointing because I really like to put on a clinic. But I was lucky enough to spend my holidays with people that I love. One of them, you guys know, because she's my partner in crime for everything that I do. She's a rock star. And amongst that, like just like all our other jobs across Ontario and across the country, has been oppressed from working. But instead of complying, she's out here with me at every single event that I go to. I'm gonna get all teary-eyed. She stood by me without hesitation. I don't usually get emotional. I'm supposed to be a cold heart, you know what? But I'm absolutely not. I take every single one of your lives so personal. Because if something happens to you, it's going to happen to me. And if something happens to us, it's going to happen to our kids. And that just can't happen. There's just simply no other choice than to fight it until we win. But with that, I want to introduce Robin Benedict. She's going to come up here and say a few words. She's my soul sister. You can turn that one, I'm going to use this one. Here, just use this one. Does this look ridiculous?
She got it.
She got it. Do I look ridiculous? No. Are you sure? Okay.
Carrie, guys, this chick is like solid as they come. You know, she's been a leader in this movement, and she will tell you that this is a leaderless movement. And it is. It's supposed to be. We're all leaders. We're all here. Look at us. We're all standing here in the freezing cold, man.
You guys, let's pat ourselves on the back because we're on the right side of history. Because this is an awakening. Don't be fooled. This is a spiritual awakening. This is a way for us to go back to the basics and remember who we are. Remember that we're connected in every way. Who here has lost a friend, that's past, but lost people in their lives important to them because we're out here and they don't agree with us? Put your hands up. I want to see. Yeah? Anyone lost a friend or family member because we were out here fighting? Honestly, right? It's crazy. So you are not alone. We are not alone. Look at this. We are out here and we're going to keep coming. So, when in doubt, just show up. Yeah? Okay? I also want a quick shout out to JP, John Paul Dammit. He's one of my very best friends. Does anyone know JP? JP is so brave and he is in a hospital right now and he wishes he could be here every single Saturday with us and he can't be. Also, he is being denied visitors. And you think about it, you think like, oh my God, people are not able to see their loved ones when they're in the hospital. And until it happened to him, and I was not allowed, like that's when it really hit home for me. It's easy to say, but once it happens, you're like, oh my God, it's so much more damaging than any flu, for that matter. Love is healing. Love will heal us all. Love can actually heal us physically. So everyone just gives a big shout out to John Paul. So he knows that he's loved and that he'll be with us again soon. Love you guys. We got time for this guy, Jason. Okay, he promised to make it under 3 minutes, right? Okay, but he speaks very well and he's one of us. Okay. Oh, okay.
And see how much money that we can get together, and that will determine how many flyers we can print. Once again, Ian's the main guy. He's around here somewhere. He's probably handing out flyers right now, actually. He never stops. Yeah, there he is over there. So we'll be doing that, and was I going to say anything else? I can't remember. But yeah, that's pretty good, guys. Just keep the spirits up. Keep smiling, and that's the most important thing in the world right there. I think the vaccines are going to be a big thing because there's so many people I know that comply to the mask thing, but when it comes to the vaccines or whatever, they're like, no, I'm not taking that. So the time is coming, and we're going to see who's going to take it. And if they can get a bunch of compliance, if they can get everybody to comply to the vaccine, then the ball's in their court. They can try to do what they want with the passports and all that kind of stuff. But if we can... Yeah, no one here is getting the vaccine, I'm pretty sure. So if we can just get this information out with flyers or whatever and deter other people from getting the vaccine, I think that's huge. Alright guys, Merry Christmas.
Everybody. So I'm just going to address a few things first. There's a bunch of people right before we go off onto our march that I would like to give a shout out to. Robin Nico has been marketing since day one for all the organizations. A big round of applause for her. She puts her work and her time and her personal energy into this movement, and we appreciate her. Okay, Omari Taylor, Alan Spencer. You guys are amazing. We've got Peter Salemi, Chuck Black, Alan Calder. You guys, we couldn't do this without any of you guys. And as for the organizations, I'd like to give a shout out to the Canadian Revolution, to StandUpCanada.Solutions, anybody who wants the breakdown on how this government has corrupted the system, go on to StandUpCanada.Solutions, learn about your rights, learn how to defend yourself, learn how the language itself, on how to speak to these and how to understand these corrupt politicians. I'm going to give a quick rundown and then we'll get on to our march. Number one, we have a Minister of Defense who lied on his resume, both to foreign media and on his resume. Okay? Public perjury comes with a 10-year sentence in Canada. Why does he still have a job? Number two, our Deputy Prime Minister. The moment she became the Deputy Prime Minister, there was a $600 million bailout paid to mainstream media. We're talking about the granddaughter of the man responsible for doing the exact same thing under Hitler in order to control the media and the narrative to the population, to indoctrinate them, and guess what happened? Nazi Germany happened. Chrystia Freeland is a criminal, and she should be in jail. We have a Prime Minister who has no power. He is a puppet. Make no mistake. Canadians need to understand the structure of our government in this country. The people who elect are not the government. They've typically been lawyers because their job is to mitigate between the people and the actual government, which is the Privy Council. Understand the structure, and then you can understand how to make the change. It's so very important. They don't swear oath to us, and they therefore do not serve us. But the police serve us because they swear oath to us. And if they don't start standing with us, then they are violating that oath. And I will stand beside our law enforcement. I will stand against defunding them. I will absolutely stand in their favor, but only if they respect that oath. This country belongs to its people, and it's time we make it clear. Thank you guys, let's get ready to march. One more thing. So as you see, we don't have a lineup of police officers here today. Okay? So we were told that we have to abide by the Highway Traffic Act. So I'm going to say this very clear. The Highway Traffic Act has no precedence over the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This is a protest. Marching in that street, we are expressing our rights. If they want to ticket somebody, please ticket me. On behalf of all these people. Because we're going to march in the streets and express our rights. Let's go. Dave Freedom? Yeah, Dave Freedom's going to be leading the march, guys. We're changing things up a little bit. Yeah, he should be up here. Before he leads the march, come on up here, honey. I thought you were going to just joke here like, come. So I'm glad. He deserves a lot of respect. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I got so close to him over the last couple of days. Come on over here. Everybody, Dave Freedom!
Thank you, everyone.
Not yet. You want to say,
I wrote this down because I might forget the words, so I'm going to make sure every word is spoken here. My name is Dave. You know me as the guy with the orange vest who walks around with the giant speakers. Looks a little crazy, I guess. I want to say a few words. I've become close to many of you here. In fact, it feels like a family, to be honest. But here's the thing. Most of us don't really want to be here, especially when the weather sucks, right? So why are we here? Because when tyranny becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Our best weapon, at least in this current reality, is awareness and non-compliance. Yes, I know. Sometimes it feels like no one gives a shit. I get it. But I can tell you firsthand that we're responsible for waking up more people than you could ever imagine. In fact, you'd be surprised how many people haven't done an ounce of research online. But sometimes all it takes is just one of us holding a sign or yelling the words, PCR test. So, make no mistake about it. We are in the seed planting business, and that's exactly what we do every Saturday. I think we all agree that Toronto and the rest of Canada needs to see us protesting. They need to see that the fight is far from over. And when they're ready to become freedom fighters, we will be here to support them. So if you can, keep coming to these protests. Keep talking to strangers. whether it's on the sidewalk or at your local grocery store. But whatever you do, don't you dare lose your fighting spirit. Because we need you more now than ever. Now, as most of you know, there's been a lot of drama concerning groups against groups, or leaders against leaders. Yes, I'm going to go there, but I'm going to go to details, don't worry. And to be honest, I'm not happy about it. Divide is never good for any movement, especially one like ours. Now, I've been asked at least a dozen times, what side am I on, or who do you support? My answer is simple. I'm on the side of freedom. Since the beginning, I've stayed neutral for a reason. Groups, even those with good intentions, can be divisional by nature, and in some cases make us appear like we belong to a cult. And that is exactly what the media tries to do. Now, to be very clear, I have absolutely nothing against any major groups. Nothing. In fact, assuming Facebook allows us to operate for now, groups in general are good for spreading information. But my approach has always been the same. If you're proud to be Canadian, wave that flag as high as you can. Who doesn't like patriots, right? And for those of you who show off their awesome signs every weekend, please keep doing what you're doing. This movement is so much bigger than any group or individual. It belongs to all of us. A leaderless movement. When we're united, we become a force to be reckoned with. My name is Dave. I'm a freedom fighter. I love my country. And I'm no less more important than anyone else here who decided to get out of bed and show up today. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's an absolute honor and privilege to be standing here among you. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing. We are going to take the same route. We're going to go south on Yonge, across the Queen, up on Spadina, and then across Bloor. All right, thank you guys.
Leaderless, a movement for the people, by the people. Freedom! Let's go.
Rise up! Rise up!
You guys are coming up.
Hey, Dave, you take the lead, we'll take the back.
We just need something for them to sit on now.
You okay?